Well, here's 5 things that we had to figure out for our dream Bollywood wedding.
I feel like it's a really good topic because we could talk about so many things inside of this. But okay, so what do you want to start off talking about? Okay.
So there were 5 things that really mattered for us. The venue, the vendors who were very close partners who we worked with,
The logistics of the entire thing, because we did have a destination wedding, so there was a lot of logistics that went into that. Scheduling, I think, is a really big one. And then what else?
I think the biggest one was just the communication that the two of us had.
Yes. So first, I guess, would be the venue, right? Obviously, the most important one. So I remember, like early in the beginning of this, right? We obviously needed to find a venue, and we explored multiple different categories of that, right? Like, do we want to do it inside a hotel, like a nice 5-star hotel? Do we want to do it inside like a banquet hall or a karyalaya type of thing? Or obviously destination wedding, right? And like destination wedding in India, destination wedding outside of India. I obviously was more partial to the destination wedding inside of India, sort of a plan out of them. But what were your thoughts? Because I don't think we've ever talked about this.
I think I actually was someone who was thinking of a simple hall that we booked and reserved and decorated.
Yeah.
Maybe with the backyard would have been nice. But I was open to all 3 options. I think the destination one did sound dreamy, and of course, watching all of the films that we grew up with, I think we really were inclined to the destination wedding at the end of it.
I feel so in my family. I think most of the weddings, as far as I remember, were done in like a banquet hall type of a situation, and so I knew I did not want that. I was between like a nice hotel, like banquet hall inside of a nice fancy hotel, or a destination wedding. But I like the idea of a destination wedding because A, nobody in my family had done it before. B, ours was like the first wedding in my at least entire side of the family, so I wanted to like really go all out kind of a thing. And I knew that it'd be like a new cool place. There'd be a lot of like natural scenery that would come along when you go to a destination place, because then you don't have to like worry about decorations and stuff like that inside a hall, right? I also knew that it would be like a multiple day kind of an affair, and I knew if we went to a destination, there'd be multiple different areas in that destination area that we could use as backdrops, and just to sound cooler. I mean, I definitely would say like I wanted that tag.
There's actually a saying that's evolving now, especially in India: find the venue first, find the partner later. That's how booked out the really good destination weddings were.
Yeah.
And one of the things that were challenging for us was we wanted so much out of the destination. We wanted different places to do things. And that's where a lot of our family recommendations came into play. We chose not to go with the wedding planner because that saved us a lot of money.
But that also meant we needed to do a lot of research on ourselves, right? By ourselves, and then we also needed to rely on a lot of our relatives to really pitch in and help us out and all those kinds of things. The logistics of getting married in India while we ourselves, me and you, are living here, in the U.S., that also was a little bit of a challenge. The time zones were different, but I mean, we made it work. I feel like the venue that we chose was about as perfect as you can be. I remember like another conversation that we had was how far away from our hometown in India do we want to even consider for the destination, right? Because of how far out we could have gone. So I remember that was another conversation that we kind of had, and we ended up finding, I think, a really, really, really good venue. I have no regrets at all.
Yeah, I think we got really lucky about it. I remember my parents and Shivani's extended family were traveling almost every weekend, and my family during one of these travels found Alibag as one of the locations. Shivani and her family made a trip there, and it was a wonderful venue. It was Kashid Beach, a private beach resort. We had basketball
courts. Well, we
courts,
booked that out. We had to pay extra for that private beach. Okay, it wasn't just like freely available in the cost. But yeah, we also had a good time because we got married in November, and so we knew that a beachy wedding at that time, especially during like the sunset hours for the actual ritual part of it, would be really, really nice. So that's why I think we were much more open to sort of a beach vibe.
I also really liked that it had the swimming pool, garden, not just the beach, but it had many different elements and facets to it, as well as amazing halls.
Yeah.
With that being said, after we found the venue, we moved to the second V, vendors.
Yeah, I mean the amount of vendors that we had, and ours was like the first wedding, like I said, in that I've really been to since I was younger, right? And it was my own wedding, first of all. So I remember I just was so unprepared for the amount of vendors and just coordination that you needed from all these people. Anywhere from like vendors for our wedding cards to design those and print them out, vendors for like photographers wise, vendors as in like my makeup and hair person, the team that we had, right? I would say most of them I found on Instagram actually. Obviously I looked for like quite a lot of things, like looked at the photos, I looked at their following, how active they are, I read reviews. Main thing for me was going to be, is this person good at communication? Because I need you to be responsive, because I don't live in India. I can't like hunt you down or something like that very easily, right? I need you to be somebody who's going to respond to me within 24 hours, who's going to bring your own ideas and stuff. Because I remember, obviously for me, makeup and hair was very important. And with the theme that we had of rain and peacocks, we had different themes for different events. I remember just telling my makeup lady, the lead person, our theme, the outfits that I had and everything, and she was really good, and she was very experienced. So she told me like, no, what if we do this? What if we do this instead? Oh, I like your idea about this. So I liked that it was back and forth, but and that did take a while because I interviewed quote unquote multiple people because I placed a lot of emphasis on the hair and the makeup person. So, but I know you handled the photographers, right? So how did you find that guy?
I think one of the most critical elements for me of the wedding was capturing this beautiful memory that we had together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of being together forever and making that decision. And I think when you think of a dreamy Bollywood wedding, we also think about the cinematography behind it. So similar to what Shivani said, I went through a lot of Instagram pages to try and find the kind of photos that would appeal to me, the kind of video shorts that would appeal to me. I was also interested in someone who could help bring in various angles, new technology like drones to try and capture these special moments.
And had a big team so that some members were with you when you were getting ready, some people were with me while I'm getting ready, some people were already in the function hall getting footage of the decorating process and stuff, right? So I remember that was also something we talked about that was important for us to clarify.
Yeah, I think one of the things that worked really in our favor with the photographer was giving him information on who were the people that we really wanted photographed and videographed during the ceremony. We also asked them to capture all the raw footage so that we have it whenever we wanted to watch it. And additionally, they helped us with a collection of shorts, collection of videos, photos that would really stand out, and a cool trailer that you're seeing clips of right now.
I feel like our trailer was a hit. I mean, everybody was like, whoa, I show this even to my like American colleagues or just really anybody that I come across with wasn't at the wedding, and they're shocked that that's just the trailer. They're like, what do you mean this is your trailer? This is pretty much like a film video, like for the entire video of the wedding. But then speaking of kind of going into the logistics of everything, right? When you have all these vendors and logistically speaking, handling all that, what do you have to say about that?
I think there's a few things that matter a lot. The first is, of course, the guest list with each of our families figured out. But the second is the demographics of that guest list. So I recall there were some elderly people in your family.
Yeah.
And same in mine. So we decided to keep something that was not a stretch for them to reach to as a venue. But additionally, we had to plan transportation accordingly as well.
Yeah, so my family, a lot of us are in Nagar, Ahmednagar, and your family is Pune based, right? And in fact, some of them came from like different areas. Like we had people from Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, etc., etc. We prioritize like buses. So we had two big buses that we did, and they kind of picked people up from different routes, like because there were two different routes based on where they lived, and they came together. And I remember like on the bus, my mama, so my mom's brother, he had put like a whole banner in the front of the bus. Says it said like sagarshivanikikahani, or I think it said like Shivani Ved Sagar, I think is what it was. And we had arranged like idli and chutney and like some sweets and stuff like that to be eaten in the bus. Then we played Antakshari, then we were singing on the bus the entire ride. And it was what, like 4 or 5 hours, and it didn't feel uncomfortable at all. And that was a great way to get people like already in the mood, because I knew as soon as that bus landed and people got off, they were like off to the villas to start getting ready and all those kinds of things for our first event, right? So that was really great. But your family did a little bit of a different approach, so those were like a little bit different, whole different logistics.
Yeah, we also had buses, but then we had a distributed family coming in from flights, some of them from boats. So it was a very interesting landing. Outside of that, in logistics, one of our biggest tasks was room assignments. And we had an interesting setup where we had villas at the Kashid beach.
Villas with like multiple different rooms. Some of them had like 3 bedrooms, some of them had like 2, some of them had 5.
And then within these bedrooms, we wanted to place families that really knew each other, that were close to each other, or friend circles who were like close to each other, or colleagues who would like to bond. But we also wanted to mix it up a little bit so that people got to know each other. So we wanted to place the villas in a way that there would be more socialization.
Like I remember my grandparents came, right? And they're a little bit older, can't walk as much and stuff like that. So we placed them like closest to an area where it's closest to the cafeteria or closest to most of the venues, right? Like the stage with the garden or to the beach, etc., etc. But we also, I think one thing that I just completely forgot and I remembered now is the golf carts that we had, right? Which were so convenient. And you just call them and like 2 minutes later, they're outside your villa taking you to wherever you need to go. I don't remember, I didn't really do any of the villa signing for like our guests on our side of the family. That was entirely like my Ayam Baba. Because I think I just was like, I could not deal with all that kind of stuff. Because I remember I was still working at a new job, right? It was my first job out of school and stuff, and handling the invitations because I did design those fully from scratch by myself, and I wanted a lot of things with that. So I remember like I just delegated that entire thing, and my parents were like obviously more than happy to do that because they know all these people on my side of the family. But I remember you were very involved in the villa signing.
Yeah, I think I was involved in the villa signing, but I would really give credit to my parents as well, who actually stayed up past midnight just the day before our wedding, trying to figure out where does every person go.
And then calling them to confirm if they're coming or not, or like, are they arriving late, are they leaving early, all those kinds of things did affect it,
And actually one thing that I will say is on both sides, parents were really grateful for making this wedding happen, funding it, inviting all of their connections enthusiastically, managing so many logistics.
Coming up with their own ideas for new things,
And our dear sisters as well. Going from scheduling into communication, how did that go for you?
There had to be so much communication between the parents, like between us and our parents, with the siblings, with our family members in India who were like actively helping, between the vendors, and I mean there was communication just all around all the time because we were communicating while we were awake in the US, and like they're communicating over there when they're awake in India, right? So there was just a lot of logistics, a lot of communication that came into play. We also have to remember that we planned this entire thing within 2 months, from like we're serious, like we're doing this, to this is the dates that we're choosing, and it was a multiple day thing. I mean, we also haven't even talked about the menu for the food, right? Like there's so much that kind of came into play that now thinking back, I'm just remembering. But that was, I would just say that was really the key, and there was nobody like left communication behind, or like did not prioritize that. I will say that, which I think really helped us get to the end goal.
I think one of the most important things in communication is also the communication between the couple itself. And I think there are a lot of points of friction that occur inside of wedding planning. And I will say the wedding that we had over 3 days is one of the most wonderful memories that I have. But the planning itself was stressful at times. And as Shivani said, figuring out within 2 months, making sure that we in, incorporated both of our preferences, our family's preferences was very important. And I think one of the things that helped a lot was that we kept getting back to each other on concerns, what we wanted to do. And we also essentially handled communications with our families and got back together to sort out anything that we needed to.
I mean, I think we did great because we went back to India a whole year later and everybody was still talking about it between themselves and even with us, right? So, guys, if you want to hear more about our wedding planning, things that went well, things that did not go well, anything about like venue choosing, if you want to hear about the different things we did, the different vendors we considered, or anything like that, hit that like button, make sure you follow us, subscribe to our channel, and comment down below what out of everything that we talked about is something that you want to hear more about. Bye, guys!